Hey, Lance, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's the Friday before a bank holiday. I hope our participants are off on Monday. I think most banks are closed, so if you've got Monday off, I just want to wish you a great long weekend.
We have the committed group here. Welcome.
You know,
So,
Bob, those who are on, I was just sharing with you earlier, and I'll share with the group. At my bank, I'd say we're at half staff because a lot of people are trying to parlay this into an extra long
yeah.
weekend.
Well, speaking of extra long weekends, I took mine last week. I had every intention of joining you for office hours, but I was in Puerto Rico. And I go down there annually. We meet a group of us who are publishers, friends publish in universities and health and safety and logistics and all sorts of fun stuff. Anyway, we finished up at noon on Friday, so I planned on joining you, and one of my friends said, hey, you want to go hike the rainforest? So I don't know what you need as a note, but that's where I was.
You know, Bob, I think what I need is for you to send me to hike the rainforest and then you be.
Let's get into this so people can start their early weekend. Poll questions. Is your bank an active in SBA Express Lending?
Part of the reason I was just curious, I mean, I'm sure most are, but this week's content was covering the SBA Express Lending process. And it's a great product for you to help you offer quick, effective financing for your small businesses.
Yeah, and for those of you who's answered no, I would look into that. That is an excellent product. Lance will be going over it, but it is certainly something that should be in your toolkit. Your tool.
Well, it particularly comes in handy, Bob, when you have those requests under 350 and they want to get it done quick.
Yeah.
You know, they want to close in 2 weeks. You can do it with Express.
And I know this isn't the topic, but there are a lot of shortcuts the underwriter can take for those loans under $350,000. SBA will allow you to do some interesting credit scoring things. Great product. You and I are fans. Poll question number 2. What percentage of your SBA loans are processed using SBA Express? We want the number, not the dollar amount, please.
Yeah, just trying to see. Actually, Bob, I asked this question out of curiosity to get a comparison for our portfolio. Just curious where they fall in terms of numbers.
Well, let's have you reveal your amount first. What is your percentage?
We're going to be more than 25%, Bob.
Yeah. In fact, I would see more than 50%. Interesting. 25%
Yeah,
or less.
I think that as you get comfortable with Express, you'll use it more and more. And you know, I'm not surprised to see the answers all over the board. But a lot of the lenders that I work with and know about get really active in SBA Express Lending.
Have you ever had to complete a 1919 and cavers on a key employee of an SBA borrower?
You know, I asked this question, Bob, because I had a loan submitted to the processing center, and they came back at me with a screen out item on something. You know, I've studied the 5010 5H a lot and feel like I know it fairly well. And I had a borrower who was buying a business but not going to be the day-to-day operational manager, and I did have to get a 1919 on a key employee who was not a guarantor and a CABRS report.
I thought you were one of the original authors of the SOP 5010.
Well, you know, I had this conversation with district director yesterday, Bob, and we were just sharing stories with one another about the various gray areas in the SOP that are subject to interpretation, and also the areas, you know, she's been with SBA for 30 plus years, and she indicated there's stuff in the 5010 that I don't know is in there. So, you know, everybody's going to find one that surprises them every now and then.
By the way, if you see me glancing down, we are joining the, I don't know, next iteration. We have closed, oh, there it is. We have closed captioning. Did you just put that up, Joseph? Yeah. So any of you want to close captioning feed, you have to do something special. So we're trying it out, just to be fully compliant with all the special laws and regulations. Anyway, poll question number 4. When you normally submit your SBA Form 159, the compensation form, when do you normally submit this?
And I asked this question just to emphasize, Bob, that the SOP is pretty clear when you're supposed to send it in. I hope we don't have any nevers.
Is that a clue? Can I change my vote?
Well, I do think, Bob, there's
there
a lot
we go.
of people.
Good job, all. Good job.
A lot of people submit them with the application, but the SOP does indicate that it's to be submitted to Coleman after the first disbursement.
And don't send it to me.
Colson, I'm sorry.
Don't send it to Coleman.
Yeah, send the 159s to Bob Coleman. Send them to Colson after the first disbursement.
Lance, if I'm that 50% bracket and I'm submitting it with the application, do I need to go back and do anything, or am I okay?
I don't think so, Bob. I think either way works, but the SOP is pretty clear that they are supposed to be submitted to Colson, not Coleman, after the first disbursement. And usually what I do, the person who prepares the 1502 report in my bank, after preparing the 1502 report, will send me PDFs of all the 159s, and I send them on up to Colson.
Very good. Lance, I'm going to let you take over to Lance on email question number 1.
Well, I think the question is regarding life insurance assignments and how do you monitor it and what do you do if the policy cancels. And quite frankly, life insurance policies are the most challenging to monitor, Bob, because quite often they'll have an annual premium. So it's not like there's a monthly premium that the borrower is having to pay. And life insurance companies, in my experience, do not communicate as well on a potential cancellation as property and casualty companies. I think it's important for the bank to make sure and send some sort of communication to the life insurance company indicating that you want notification if there's any issues with premium payment. Asking what to do if the policy cancels. The SOP has some language, and the first paragraph is my response. If the policy cancels, you have to make a prudent lending decision. Yeah. Does it make sense to force place the life insurance policy? And it depends on what point in the life of the loan. If you look at it and the loan is fully secured, you may find it prudent not to force place. If you look at it and the loan is undersecured and the life insurance is an important part of the collateral picture, you may want to force place. The SOP says, again, they don't really give you any specific guidelines other than to say you need to make a good, prudent lending decision as to whether you're going to force place the life insurance policy. And it's important to remember that if you do force place the life insurance policy, it is a recoverable expense if the loan goes in default and you go through liquidation.
And I have never heard of a lender being criticized for doing this.
Yeah, SBA, when I was deputy director of the servicing center, Bob, life insurance policies quite often are included as part of the underwriting of an SBA loan, but we never really pushed back when, for instance, the loan was approved with a $2 million policy and they went out and found out that a $2 million policy was going to cost them $3,000 a month, and that was a ridiculous premium, and we'd always allow them to either reduce it or in some cases delete it. So, but if it's there, if it's in the authorization, you want to make sure that you either have what's requested or if there's some sort of change that you get that change approved. Again, I'll agree with you, Bob. Now, I'll say this. There have been some cases in liquidation where life insurance policy lapsed, and it was looked at as, from the SBA's perspective, as a repair. Absolutely. Because they didn't force place it.
Absolutely.
If you've got, okay, Bob, I'm 55 years old. If you have a loan to me for $500,000 and $500,000 worth of life insurance is required, and I move along for 7 years and hit 62 and I die, and I forgot to pay my premium and you didn't pay attention, didn't force place, SBA might look at repairing. Now, if a 20-year-old, a 25-year-old small business owner, their policy lapsed, or they didn't pay their premium, and the loan moved through the liquidation process, I don't know that SBA looks at it from an age perspective, but as a prudent lender, I'd look at it and say it's not likely that person's going to pass away during the term of this loan. So I'm not going to ding you as bad, but again, Bob, I'm all over the place. It goes back to making a good, prudent lending decision. Whatever you would do on a similar size non-SBA loan, you need to do it on the SBA loan.
Yeah, and I don't be afraid to force place this stuff. Don't be afraid of it.
Yes.
Okay. It is recoverable expense.
Now, property and casualty, it's never a question whether you force place. You're going to force place that.
Go ahead, Lance. Week 5.
I was just going to say, week 5, we talked about the SBA 7A loan checklist, various SBA forms, the 1919. Thankfully, the 912 is not required as often, Bob, but unfortunately on the first one I put in SBA 1, I had to get a 912 cleared. The compensation form is very important to understand when you're supposed to prepare that and how to submit it. The note and guarantee forms I think we're all pretty comfortable with, the 147 and the 148s. And then we spent some time talking about the SBA Express Loan Program. Another reason, Bob, that lenders should consider the Express program. There's a few SBA forms that are required, but as an example, we're looking here, the 1919 would be required. The 159 would be required if you collected the packaging fee, but the note and guarantee, you can use your bank's in-house forms for the note and guarantee. And there are other places where you can use your forms and you don't have to use the SBA's forms.
As we go to week 6, my shout out to Alexandra, Antonio, Ben, both Bens, Bridget, Dean, both Deans, Diane, Gail, Joel, Kayla, Kimberly, Lisa, Mary, and again, I should get this name right, I apologize, Priya, Joseph, find out how to pronounce that so I don't butcher it next time, Sonia and Sue, and the other Lisa. There's 2 Lisas, one is 100%, one is 96%. I don't know, it's an error on our part. I'll give you both credit. So congratulations for keeping up. Shout out to Taylor, 80%, not bad, but good for you. But week 6 is uploaded, if you want to do that. And Lance, we are 2 more weeks, and this is the prize. You're supposed to say something. You're supposed to say something.
You know, Bob, one of my favorite parts of doing the closer class is the picture that you shared with me. There was a participant who had been in closer, proudly displayed their Coleman certificate of completion or certification in the closer class, but wanted to take it again to be certified again for the next year.
Very good.
Again, it's important to show SBA that you're getting appropriate training in SBA lending. Hey, in week 6, Bob, I just want to point out, it's all important, but that 4506T and the reconciliation of the tax transcripts, I think, is one of the critical areas of a proper SBA loan closing.
Very good. Do we have any additional questions? We're clear. Everyone, enjoy your long weekend. We will meet next Friday for week 7. You got 2 weeks left. No, I'm sorry, week 6, right?
Week 6.
Where are we? We've got 3 weeks left. Okay, don't ask me. I'm still on Puerto Rican time. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Have a great weekend.